Good evening, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful time again to be on air speaking to you, our teachers, our wonderful teachers at home. I'm your host on today's Inspired series, Adele Ademo. And I have with me for this session our 2021 7th edition national champion for the Multinational Teacher of the Year, Mr. Taiye Abanika. Mr. Taiye Abanika, please say hello to our guests.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone in the audience.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Taiye.
Yeah.
Kindly give us a brief background about yourself, the school you're from, and what it has been like to be the winner of the Multinational Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, Mr. Deomo. My name's Abanika Taiye from James Hope College, Agbo in Delta State. I teach design and technology and technical drawing in the school, and the winner of the Multinational Teacher of the Year 2021. It's quite an interesting thing to have won this award in 2021. It has brought a great joy and happiness to me and to my family. And ever since then, I have become like an ambassador of the Nigerian Breweries Multinational Teacher of the Year initiative. And right here now, participating in the Inspired series for this year edition. I'm a teacher that I've been in this profession, noble profession, for over 2 decades now. And I'm really happy with the initiative of the Nigerian breweries and the honor they are doing to teachers at the moment. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Taiye. Wonderful, wonderful, and inspiring themes from what you've said. It's very, very interesting to note that the Multinational Teacher of the Year is ongoing as we speak. Entries for the 2022 edition of the award is ongoing. And if you're wondering what the Multinational Teacher of the Year is, the Multinational Teacher of the Year is an initiative of the Nigerian Breweries Felix Ohiwere Education Trust Fund. It's in its 8th edition currently in 2022. That means we've had 7 editions. Teachers emerge as state champions as well as being rewarded for participating within the project. We've had a total of 181 teachers with 7 grand prize winners, like I mentioned earlier. And very interesting is the fact that the national winner every year goes home with a total cash prize of 6.5 million naira. And if you are watching and you are wondering, how can I be the 2022 Multinational Teacher of the Year winner? All you need to do is visit the Multinational Teacher of the Year website, which is www.multinationalteacheroftheyear.com, to fill in your form and submit. And then you go through the process of selection, grading, and then you're called for an interview with our esteemed judges if you meet up with the top 10 selection for the award. I would like to pass the buck now to Mr. Taiye Abanika, who will be speaking to us briefly on the topic. And this topic is very, very instructional because it is one of the questions that will be asked to you while filling your form for the Multinational Teacher of the Year. I would pass. Mr. Taiye?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right. I would hand over to you now to take us through the presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. I think you've disabled my sharing the screen. Enable me so that I can do that. Can you enable me sharing the screen, please? Hello, Mr. Deyamo. Hello?
Please go ahead and share your screen, sir.
No, you disable, say host disabled participant sharing, screen sharing. Host disable
Hello, Mr. Taiye.
yeah. He said you
Are you able to
disable
share
me
your
sharing
screen?
the screen. I could share it. Okay, now. Okay. I will be able to share it now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Right. Right. Good afternoon, audience, once again. I'm here to present to you the drawing behavioral objectives in line with SDG, which stands for Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goal has been an initiative of the United Nations, which started in 2000 as Millennium Development Goal. The episode lasted for 15 years, and in 2015, it metamorphosed into SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Now, which is going to last for the next 15 years, starting from 2015, and that will be up until 2030. Now, the Sustainable Development Goal, by definition, is a goals that are the collection of 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. If you look at the definition here, we're talking about a blueprint here. We're talking about interlinked goals, global goals, and these goals are global in nature. So it's for everyone around the globe to participate in achieving the target goals. Sustainable development is the development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Basically, we're living in a world, those of us currently living in the world, need to make the world a better place for ourselves. And as such, it should be made better that we're going to leave it for the generation unborn or generation to come and meet it in a better situation too. So that is what sustainable development is all about. It's for us, for the next generation, to come. And the goal here are just nothing but an object or target that someone is trying to reach or achieve. So there are about 17 of these goals as spelled out in 2015, which all countries around the world are supposed to achieve by 2030. Now, we quickly want to look at the presentations. It's going to be centered around two segments. One, talking about this global initiative, SDG, and the 17, a few of the 17 goals, and also transcend into the objective. How do we achieve? How can we, as a teacher or as an educator, how can we teach the children of today so that to align them with this global idea? How do we do that? So that in our lessons, we're able to do something with the students so that they are partner in progress for the achievement of these global sustainable development goals. So we've got 17 of them, and in a brief, those 17 are as shown on this slide. Some of it are shown on the slide here. Mention a few. Number one is saying, end poverty in all its forms everywhere. Globally, poverty must be put to an end. We also have goal 2 here that talks about end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. That is the area of farming and food, provision of foods and its supplies for all, so that we can stay with food. Everybody has got food to eat on his or her table to eat. And it's basically talking about the practice of agriculture. Then we also have goal number 7. I'm just going to pick some few ones among them. Ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Energy is important to life. Energy makes life better for everyone in form of electricity or all its forms, either mechanical, electrical, chemical, or other forms that we have energy. Those energy forms must be sustained so that we can have its supply for those of us currently living and for those generations coming after us. Another very interesting aspect here is goal number 4, which says, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunity for all. As you can see, this forum is for educators, is for us teachers, and having a very good relationship with our subjects, which are the students, which we are trying to develop in this line of SDG. So we must make sure that our teaching and learning process depicts these goals. It's tailored towards these goals. So we're going to look at few of them. Like I said, we also have goal numbers 10, 11, 12 to 13, and up to goal number 17 here. And it's saying strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. This is a thing for all. It's not just one particular country, it's for all the countries in the globe. Nigeria is part of the advocacy for entrenching better life for all now and in the future. And that is why you notice that Nigerian government has come up with policy supporting agriculture, something like people going back to farming, and also in the area of education, power generation, so that every one of us will live a fair and equitable, there's a fair and equitable distribution of the natural resources that we are endowed with. The first one here, the first goal here is saying end poverty in all its forms everywhere. As mentioned before, it got its target, which is to eradicate extreme poverty. Eradicate extreme poverty. Many people around the globe are living in abject poverty. Some are not well nourished. They lack financial wherewithal. Some lack education. They are living in penury, no money to sustain them, and they cannot meet up with 3 square meal as a result of the poverty-stricken situation. And we're saying to end this, we must try to engage in what is called charity. Charity you want to support in form of donation, either big or small, so as to make a difference. That is the word. We're living with people around us. We must ensure that we make a difference. And that is the end thing here. What would you do to bring happiness to the next person? Like the Martina Teacher Award Initiative is currently doing, putting smiles on the face of teachers around Nigeria. We must embark on charity in form of donation. Give to people that are in need. This is a thing that teachers can vividly do with the students around the community where the school is sited. If you belong to the have-not, the having, we got the having and the have-not. So the having have to make sure that they empower the have-not in form of giving donation in cash and kind to people around them in order to lift them up from the poverty level. You can also embark on this by donate what you do not use. There are some fairly used items, those who have used in the house, you no longer use them, and you have them around the corner of your house. Your children can take this thing to school, students can bring them to school, and arrangement can be made such that this is taken to orphanage homes where people are being children that are having one issue or the other, the orphanage that have lost their parents, that couldn't cater for their living. Some of them are picked from the road, from the hospital at birth, so they could have a sense of life or belonging, that they also live on this Mother Earth and they are being taken care of. It's all about care. So you can donate whatever you have to people that are in need. We also have Go To here, which is say end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. And here we're saying universal access to safe and nutritious food. Yes, through farming, we can do this. Through what we call green revolution, we can do this. Everyone go into farming with the mind of providing enough or adequate foods or for adequate food supply that could sustain the living of people in the community, in the state, in the country, and globally. So there is food supply, and this goal is set to achieve this so that there will be enough food production for all. Sustainable food production and resilient agricultural practice, serious one, starting from the subsistence agricultural practice where people cater for their immediate family needs, to a sub-extensive or farming system, or where we embark on mass production or high-level production, plantation, so as to provide enough food for the citizen of a particular nation or global citizen. Of course, we know today the world has become a global village. Another area that interests me here again that I want to quickly also dive into is this one that goal number 4, which is tailored towards education for all. Having inclusive and equitable quality education, emphasis, quality education to promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. To promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. As far as we are living on earth, we must have access to good quality education, and the education must be inclusive. It must not be of gender bias for both male and female, young and old, for whosoever that wants to develop themselves should be able to have the opportunity to do that. And this having here that, in a nutshell, ensuring lifelong learning opportunity for all from early childhood to adult education. Yes, these are very much in existence here. You have children in school from kindergarten up until nursery school, primary, secondary, and higher institution of learning. And now we also have a lot of adult school, evening schools that adults can go into. We're having cases of people that are about 80 years now that have just graduated from school because the opportunity is there for them to go to school. And here, we also must ensure effective learning and the acquisition of relevant knowledge, skills, and competence. Very, very important in education. It's about knowledge, skill acquisition, and gaining competence to do things that will bring food to the table, that will bring economic empowerment to individual and the people in general. We also have that ensure the relevance of learning in terms of vocational and technical skill for decent work as well as for global citizens in a plural and interconnected world. Again, the world is a global village. We can now relate with ourselves. People in India, in Ghana, in Gambia, could easily, within a twinkle of an eye or within a few minutes or seconds, we can easily cross, fertilize ideas and information and communicate with each other and also be of help to one another. Now, we must be able to have effective learning so that we can achieve this. And also, we must delve into what we call vocational and technical education that actually help us to develop our motor skill, so that motor skill, the ability to use our hands to do something, where we embark on problem solving, gain problem solving ability through critical thinking. We're able to provide solution to our needs and opportunities that are abound around us here. And there are 4 underlying principles here. Education is fundamental, human right, and an enabling environment. So it's compulsory for everyone to be educated. It is our right to go to school. It is our right to be educated. Education is a public good of which the state is the duty bearer. Yes, you can see in Nigeria, we have public schools. And the public schools are owned by state governments, some local governments, some are owned by federal government. It is their responsibility to provide an enabling environment for teaching and learning to take place so that our children, students can be developed and gain the right competence that will make them useful and valuable in the society. And again, gender equality is linked to the right to educate for all. So, issue of gender should not deprive anyone here for having access to education. Be you male or female, it is for all to access education, to be taught and to develop you so that one is learned and you are civilized, one is sociable, you are able to interact, and you can change the world into a meaningful one for people to cohabit and live in peace and harmony. Now, that's another area that I try to look at here, and we also have some of the things here that we need to know, teachers and educators, what we need to achieve, that the means of achieving this one is also being spelled out here. We're having build and upgrade educational facilities that are child, disabled, and gender sensitive and provide safety, non-violence, inclusive, and effective learning environment for all. Now, this is a thing that capture my interest here, that it is preached that there must be a conducive, serene environment for teaching and learning to take place, to be provided for all, so that there will be it will be free, it's safe, it's free, it's non-violent, it's inclusive, and there can be effective learning. And that is this for here. Now, and how can we, what does it mean, and how can we achieve this, is what is spelled out on this slide. Let's move on to the next one. Another area that also of interest to me, won't be able to take care of everything, it's this affordable and clean energy. Now, it's the target or a goal for this to be achieved, that everyone around the globe should have access to affordable and clean energy. There are various means of energy, renewable and non-renewable energy. And of course, we know that the non-renewable energy are the energy obtained from fossil fuels, and that has really led to generation of things that affect the ozone layer. Some carbon dioxide is being emitted, or things that are not friendly to the ozone layer is being generated when we're getting energy from fossil fuels, and that has led to perforation of the ozone layer and global warming. Now, it's part of the teaching that we tell our students about this global warming and what causes it and how can it be reduced. And in an attempt to do this, then there was a direction towards what we call renewable energy now, making energy from source that can be replenished from time to time, that can be used continuously, that can be used with less greenhouse gases that has caused a problem, problems such as global warming. These are part of what we do. A teacher is expected to teach the children what the children are supposed to know as they come to school to study, so that they can also be partner in progress in making sure that we have a free global environment that is devoid of things that are causing negative things to our existence, things that are referred to as indignity, things that are bringing shame to us all over the globe, are things that needed to be taken care of. Now, it still continue here. On that goal, we have goal 1, 2, target 1, 2, 3, 7A and 7B there, and the indicator are also as shown here. Installed renewable indicator for goal 7B say install renewable energy generating capacity in developing country in watt per capita. Here in Nigeria, we are still struggling with generation of power. If we now teach our children about this, in the future, these children that is passing through us will be able to produce 30,000 or 30,000s of millions megawatt of electricity. And everybody in the country will have electricity, and this issue of epileptic supply will become a thing of the past. This is what the SDG is all about, and what it's preaching, the advocacy there, that we as an educator, we as a carrier of these goals, to implement it guide our children through all this, make sure that our teaching and learning is directed towards these goals, any of these goals, so that we can be partner in having a better life for all. So we're having here that, okay, why teachers need to direct their lesson to create awareness of sustainable development goals. We also have some points here that are saying to make informed and intelligent decisions about practice to achieve various outcomes with the students in their classrooms. So right at the point of developing your lesson plan, having gotten the topic, this sustainable development goals in mind will help you to make an informed decision. It also enables students to learn about the world and gain insight into critical issues around the world, e.g. access to clean water. There is this program that people do in schools called Going Blue or Going Green. Going Blue is about water. How could we get a clean water and also maintain our waterways or our source of water so that it's free from substances that could cause problem or disease to us. It's also for students to be an active participant in the world we live in. So teaching students with these goals will help them to become a global leader. It could be in form of extracurricular activity, like in some school, they do what is called the Duke of Edinburgh. And that Duke of Edinburgh is come up with series of activities that is geared towards making life meaningful, taking care of our environment, bringing better relationship with community, and creating friendship, and ensuring peace amongst the citizens of the world. So we can achieve this through this community relationship, local and global community, to solve the biggest challenges the world faces today. Is it the electricity? Is it shortage of food supply? The students need to get this awareness so that they can, with time, fit in. Students grow empathy and compassion. Through this, they are able to think of others, not themselves alone, and have feeling for others, and making sure that they impart positively on people around them, in their immediate community and the community far away from them, or the global community. And also, this brings about collaboration between the students and the teacher. They work together as a team to achieve this. For instance, you are embarking on a project of identify a problem in the society, and you really want to, create a solution to that problem. You can use the student to do that. If the student can come up with a program that will lead to what? Supply of clean water to a neighboring community or their community in which they live. So, and that could happen with the collaboration between the teacher and the student. Now we're going to gradually to the second stage that I talked about now. Having heard about the various goals, the 17 goals, and mentioned some few of them, we're now going to look at what we call in planning your lesson. In planning your lesson for effective delivery, we as a teacher always, prepare ahead. That's called lesson plan. And one of the major part of the lesson plan that will really help in delivering of topic or the standard or the concept you want to pass across to the student is what we call the behavioral objective. Some people call it lesson learning objective. Some will say performance objective. Behavioral objective, because at the end of it, is going to bring a change in the mind of in the doing of the student. That is, of course, we can say it's a behavioral objective here. And it is nothing but knowledge or skill one want the student to be able to exhibit. In order to be considered competent, we need to raise a child, a student that is competent in whatever they are doing, in challenges around the world. Gaining the competence, they will be able to handle situation and create solution to problems around. And in setting up behavioral objective for a lesson, as I've said, it is an integral part of teaching and learning, and almost the starting point before you get engaged with the students. There are 4 elements here that we will need to consider or look at. We've got the ABCD of a behavioral objective or lesson objective. And we say we have 1, the audience. Who are the learners? The students, the people that you're going to teach, they are the learners. So, and these categories of people comes in different ages. Those in the primary school, in secondary school, and higher institutions. If whatever stage they are in education, they are your audience. Then you need to think about, what do you want to change? What behavior do you want to change? What do you want them to do after the lesson? What should they be able to do after the lesson? And there are conditions and limitation boundary for learning, the scope for which you be able to cover within that space of your lesson or scope of the lesson that you want to present. And how well will the learner need to perform, and what defines acceptable performance. So eventually, you can now begin to grade and a kind of assessing the student to know how well they have performed, how well the lesson taught is understood, how well their behavior has been changed with the concept. So with these 4 in mind, one will be able to have a good behavioral objective, which is an integral part of our lesson plan, and which is very, very important in teaching and learning process. And here I really want to share with our educator and audience out there that in writing behavioral objective, there are things that we need to observe or take into consideration in order to write an effective, good, standard behavioral objective. 1, identify the learner, who the learner is. Is it the learner, the topic, the concept you want to pass across? Who is it for? Is it for age 5 to 6? Is it for age 5 to 10? Is it for 10 to 18? You know, those age brackets need to be taken into consideration so that the choice of word and content can be streamlined to fit with those cohorts or with those set of students that you want to teach. Reflect what learners must do. Again, it's called for critical thinking. What must the learner do in an educational setting to achieve a specific related competence? The students should be able to write effectively or communicate effectively. If this is what you want them to achieve, then you need to reflect on how you're going to make them do this or achieve this. Begin in writing your lesson objective. We use action words. We're going to see that shortly. And you need to specify the kind of behavioral expectation or what is expected of the student. Reflect the process. How are you going to administer this, the procedure that you're going to use? Ensure objectives are observable and measurable. Measurable and observable objective are what you need to use whenever you're writing, we are writing the lesson objective. They must be clear, concise, brief. Description of skills. What skills do they want again? What knowledge? What attitudinal change will come afterward? You can start from the simple one from the easier one, simple to the complex one. It could be in that order, of course. That would bring about clarity and a better understanding. Specify single performance once at a time. You can get combination of action words in a lesson objective. It's one specific objective that you must achieve. And shortly, we're going to look at where are those verbs come from? What are those components of this lesson objective? Where are they drawn from as far as education is concerned? So let's move on to the next slide here. It's telling us about Why we write lesson learning objective? Well, it's a guide. It's like a signpost when you are moving along the road. It directs your movement. It enables the learner, keep them focused, keep the learner focused, set priorities and evaluate his or own progress. The learners will be able to know, oh, I've achieved this one. What next for me to do? And what is the last one for me to do? So it's a progression, starting from the simpler one to the complex one. So the learners will be able to know that, okay, when I'm done with this, this is what I'm going to do. And that is why in teaching practice, for effective teachers, this behavioral objective at the start of your lesson must be shared with the students. Sometimes you can still tap on their creative thinking and also ensure that the children putting the concept on the board could also be able to join in framing the lesson objective. So some scholars can actually do that. All is just to promote the students' involvement and making sure that they got the ability to think and be part of the progress of the class. To assist everyone involved in the learner's progress, to analyze the level of cognitive thinking, ability to comprehend the fact. Fact is very, very important here, which is termed as knowledge. Knowledge, what do you have upstairs? What can you say after the lesson? It's very important as this. Now, we have here advantages of behavioral objectives. And we also have what behavioral objective can be, the use of behavioral objective, which is still similar to what we've mentioned before. It makes the teachers accountable, makes sequencing easier. It tells you, gives you about the step to take. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, like that. Depends on the duration and the scope of the topic you are covering. And it also helps you in carrying out evaluation, because most times evaluations are linked with the behavioral objective. Of course, you say describe a phenomenon, explain a concept. So that is what it's all about. So it actually, help you to evaluate your lesson. Force the teacher to be precise about what is to be accomplished. Of course, at the beginning, you set up what you want to achieve. I outline them, maybe 3 things, 3 objectives for the lesson. So, what comes first? What is the next one? What is the third one? You'll be able to quickly get that done, and it guides your delivery of the lesson. Now, we have the different objectives as spelled out in the SDG. As shown here, we have cognitive learning objective. We have social emotional objective, and we have a behavioral objective. The social emotional objective can be linked to what we call affective. So here we can now talk about the 3 domains in education, which are cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So these 3 domains appeal to the sense of the head, the heart, and the hand. So sometimes in educational curriculum, you hear the 3 H. H, the first H for head, which deals with the cognitive, your thinking and your ability to assimilate and put facts upstairs. Then we also have affective, your reactions, your feelings, your emotion towards what you have learned. And that, of course, will now take you to doing what you have learned, and you're gonna get involved in using your hands to start creating things. You start writing, you start building, you start making things. So that is there. With behavioral learning objectives, straight here, in a lesson, how do we now try to put this together? And we're saying the behavioral learning objective outcomes stated in a measurable term, which gives direction of the learner's experience and becomes the basis for student evaluation. These are what I've just mentioned now. It describes what you want your audience to learn and how they will demonstrate what they have learned. The behavioral learning objective should define the behavior you wish the participant to demonstrate. We just have talked about this now. And of course, of importance to us here, it's these three domains of education or in education has come up with some verbs that can be used when you are trying to form your lesson objective. So they are action verbs. They are words that describe things, that shows what is doing. They are doing words according to the English people. So they are doing words. So it's those doing words that are used in setting up lesson objective. And when you look at the cognitive domain, we have, when you look at the cognitive domain here, we've got some areas in cognitive domain. Like here, we usually abbreviate it as KCAS. The K for knowledge, comprehension, analysis, application, synthesis, and evaluation there are the ingredient of the cognitive domain. Then we have the affective domain, which has to do with student receiving response, student responding to receiving phenomena or messages. They respond to the message. They have value for what they are hearing, pick interest, then be able to organization and characterizations are some of the ingredients of affective domain. Why the psychomotor has to do with perception set, guided response, mechanism, adaptability, and originations as some of the key things in these three domains. And there are certain words or verbs that is required when you want to this. So I have here the meaning of some of this, but for time, we won't be able to really go deep into this. What I go into, that's for cognitive domain. Then the affective domain has also got some little description there. Then the psychomotor has also, has some points to know here. And of importance to us in forming lesson objective are the verb words. The verb words for this. In the areas of knowledge, in the areas of analysis, in the areas of creating, in the areas of evaluating and applying under cognitive, we must be able to use some of these words. Defined concept, defined electricity, defined energy. You could also say a student to duplicate things. If giving them a write-up, they can rewrite, they could duplicate. You could also ask them to draw, as in biology. They could list factors affecting production, or they could list up parts of an object. All these things belongs to the knowledge area of the cognitive domain. So we also have some words that categories, compare, and so on and so forth. There, then affective, we also have other verbs when we're writing our lesson objective. Then the psychomotor has also got in different area words, action words that can be used in some of these area. You say precision here, for instance. So we are talking about accuracy. A physics student, we are making that make an accurate measurement of the length of an object. Make sure it is error dependent, proficiently with, balanced with, and be able to have a control. And in setting up lesson objective, there are some words that we should not use. Something like is this, at the end of the lesson, students should know. It's vague, it's ambiguous, and such words are not, or students should understand. You notice that in some of these textbooks, this foreign textbook, that's what you see there when they are writing lesson objective. Should know, should understand. But in our own part of the world here, we're saying such is vague, is ambiguous, and they are not measurable, and possibly not is not observable. So such cannot be used in writing lesson objective. Again, when you are writing your lesson objective, it is important to take note that, okay, we've got the three domains in education, which are used to compose your lesson or behavioral objective for a lesson. So Sometimes it could just be on the cognitive area, as shown in this slide here. It's all about cognitive. I'm having here that for knowledge here, I've list, recite, outline, name, match. And I'm saying example of a lesson objective, behavioral objective is that at the end of this lesson, students should be able to recite Newton's 3 laws of motion. So the word recite here is the action word, verb here, that has been used. So the students should be able to what? That is what they should be able to do at the end of the presentation or the delivery of the lesson. So, but of important to us here, we shouldn't just go into forming our lesson objective to just carry just one aspect of the 3 domains. We could integrate, we could have in our lesson objective 2 or the 3 of them together. It also depends on the topic, and it also depends on the effectiveness of the teacher to be able to, think critically, make an informed decision in coming up with this lesson objective. So you must make sure that it's taken like major one that the topic is all about, one major aspect of the 3 domains, or you have it in 2. You should say, for instance, you can have got cognitive and another one of affective, another one of psychomotor, all 3 together in lesson, depends on the topic. Or you could just have just one of cognitive and affective, or psychomotor, and either of affective or cognitive as part of your formation or components of behavioral objective. We have some example here that is tailored towards the cognitive domain here. And for instance, I have here, I could say, I got a topic on renewable energy resources. And this topic is just like tailored towards affordable and clean energy, which is an aspect of the goal number 7 of the Sustainable Development Goal. And that's the topic I want to cover with the student in my class. I want them to get that awareness of affordable and clean energy. And my choice is renewable energy. And on this renewable energy, I'm looking at biofuels, and that's production of biogas. Of course, today, and there are people out there that are specialized in converting refuse at home or sewage at home into gas. The new technology have it that now that around our home, instead of having a soakaway or pit where water, dirty water from kitchen, from toilet, sewage get into, and eventually we start pouring salt to decompose it. Now there are new systems of converting that into a gas that you can now use in the kitchen, and it will sustain you in as much as you are defecating and you are answering that natural call day in, day out in your home. You keep having that. And you can also turn that, apart from using it as a cooking gas, you can also turn it into a source of electricity for power, for generating electricity. So this is an example of how to draw up a link your lesson plan, the topic you are teaching in school, to SDG. So we now come up with the behavioral objective in this perspective here, and looking at, okay, what is the cognitive aspect of this? Explain the concept of energy in line with biofuels as convenient and valuable resources. We got that as explained there. It says the cognitive. We got another one that says describe the working principle of a biogas gas. So the child is going to do description here, which is still an aspect of cognitive knowledge and comprehension here. You should be able to speak. You should be able to talk here. And eventually, I'm having that the waste to be used in this biogas digester, the students should be able to choose. And so in the choice of choosing, selecting and picking waste, that could be an aspect of the psychomotor here. Okay, the psychomotor And of course, it could be also linked with the affective here, because the children should be able to have value for what those materials are and be able to know that, okay, this particular material A, it cannot be used. Material B can be used. C cannot be used. D can be used. So it's going to make a choice out of all these numerous materials around them, with able in a view to perform, with a view to get the right waste for the biogas plant. Then I have another topic here, says as wood joints is a topic, and I'm going to set up a behavioral objective here, and I've got here, identify wood joints. There are different types of them. Students should be able to look at it and identify which is butt joint, which is a dovetail joint, which is a bridle joint, and so on and so forth. And also describe each type of wood joint. You can take one of them, but for instance, you'll be able to describe how it looks. Then now the child is going to use his hand to do something now. He's going to sketch. So that's going to be kind of an aspect of a psychomotor there. Hands on task, hands, doing things with the hands. After gaining the knowledge, after I've seen and observed, then the guy is just going to do something with the hand now. And construction of a butt joint is more or less a practical activity that will that enable the child to bring into bear all the he or she must have learned, and begin to produce something, create something, bring out something that is concrete, real, and physical, and that could be appreciated by himself and people around him. So this is what we're talking about as far as this. So for our teachers out there that is going to fill the form for this year edition, the form is out already, and this is the component of the form. You should be able to look critically at those questions and tailor your response towards what you have been doing in class, day in, day out. Your routine activity, what you do every day, is what they are just asking for there. But you actually need to sit down, devote time to it, and make sure that the best of you is used, comes out while you are doing that. You are filling the form. Look for the topic you are teaching that is related to some of these SDG goals, or one of them, that you begin to build on it. The starting point is your ability to draw a standard and effective, a clear, a precise, concise, less behavioral objective, because it is a guide in preparation, planning, delivery, and even helping you to reflect on the lesson afterward, after delivery, and you'll be able to know what to do next. It could also link you with what it could be, also be a link to what has been done before, which we sometimes refer to as entry behavior. And the starting question again, it's from your ability to pick up a very nice topic, which is in line with the SDG goal, and coming up with a behavioral objective, taking into consideration the 3 domains in education, which are cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So in forming your lesson objective, we have got here some checklist that could be a guide for you. Is it observable, measurable, achievable? Can it be achieved within the time frame? Is it clear and specific? Alignment with expectation and understanding expected of students. What should they be able to know at the end of it all? As some of the thing here. All right. Mr. Deyamo, thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abanika. It's been a very wonderful session. Thank you for this in-depth presentation. I believe our teachers joining us from their various locations have been imparted tremendously. Thank you very much. And if you are watching us again, this is the Montana Teacher of the Year Inspired Series. It's brought to you by Montana Teacher of the Year, a project of the Nigerian Breweries Felix Oyiwere Education Trust Fund. And to participate in this year's edition, visit www.montanateacheroftheyear.com. Thank you. See you in the next edition of the series.
Thank you, Adele. Oh, man.